Here's a Bible hot take that might get me in trouble. Most of the things in the Bible, especially the things that we hold to as core to our faith, don't have to be interpreted. For example, we as Christians believe that Jesus is God, and there's not a whole lot of interpretation to be done on this front. The Bible explicitly tells us that he is God. John 1:1, Romans 9:5, Titus 2:13, and 2 Peter 1:1 all say that Jesus is God. As a Protestant, I believe that I am saved by grace alone, through faith alone. Ephesians 2:8, you are saved by grace through faith and not of yourselves. Romans 5:1, therefore having been justified by faith. You don't have to interpret these things because the Bible isn't trying to be a mystery. The Bible is just telling you things, and I think the whole, it's your interpretation and you have to interpret this correctly, is just a remnant of postmodernist subjectivism that is an absolute lie and kind of undercuts who God is, because God wrote the scriptures. God is actually pretty clear about what he means, especially on the important stuff. So yeah, I'm not buying this whole you have to interpret the Bible correctly, because most of the time the Bible is just telling you what it means pretty straight up. Now, of course, there are gonna be question passages that we don't exactly know what they mean because they are not being forthright. So, for example, Revelation. Okay, obviously Revelation is a little hard to understand and has to be interpreted. Who is the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament? That can be something that's something that has to be interpreted. That I grant that. And though I do have, I think, biblically informed and correct positions on those topics, yeah, I concede they have to be interpreted in order to be understood. But that's because they're not supposed to be clear. And unless you're going to say that the bulk of the New Testament and the bulk of the Bible as a whole is intentionally unclear, you're going to be in the position that I'm in where you say, look, this is just what it says. This is what it means. And if we were in a position where our core doctrines have to be argued from by interpretation, by metaphor, by allegory, then we would have a problem. But they don't have to be. The deity of Christ, the gospel of salvation by faith, and the resurrection, basically, are our big three. Jesus is God, Jesus died, Jesus rose, and this is the gospel that by faith in him will be saved. Those are just explicitly taught in the Bible. You don't have to interpret these things. And like I said, I think that saying that you have to interpret the Bible correctly, or discarding someone's position because that's your private interpretation of the scriptures. No, it's just that God is actually really effective at communicating what he means, and when the same Holy Spirit that inspired the Bible lives in you, it's pretty easy to come to the right conclusions.